Fasting. One. I knew where that whole area in the Middle East because of a man named Jesus. And the only reason they were mentioned, I had never, as a little boy, before I heard of the Roman Empire or the pyramids, I heard about the Middle East. I heard about the Holy Land because of a man named Jesus. And I don't care what religion you were, even the atheists in the neighborhood, they knew about a man named Jesus. And so I feel that one day, this movement, and I take it personal because I came through typical American mentality. John Wayne was my hero. Okay. And nobody ever told me in my house that when you go to the movie, guns aren't right. I just couldn't wait to get old enough to go hunting, buy me a gun, to learn how to shoot, to go to the military, get me a car. And so consequently, what happened was when John Wayne and Humphrey Bogart, all of my heroes, said, if you right and they wrong and they don't listen, go get your gun. And then here one day a man called Martin Luther King that don't even look like my hero. All my heroes were white. Right. And here's a man who don't look like them, don't talk like them, tell me, turn the other cheek. It is better to be killed than to kill. And I'm just saying, well, I went to the movement because they asked me to come down. I didn't believe in that. And yet I wasn't ready to go out and do what John Wayne and them was doing. And so all it was is I got hooked in that movement and saw old people and young folks. And as I spent quality time with Martin and never heard him say one thing on camera. And then something else when the cameras were gone. And just little by little by little, then I remember one night I put in the book, I'm in jail, and a 4-year-old boy, 2 o'clock in the morning, I asked him, I said, what are you here for? He said, freedom. So he said, freedom. And then I guess in my life, I could never separate the God from the church. Okay. I thought the church was God. All right. And so I didn't have no problem with people all over the world, even countries that were atheists, that if you ran into a church, nobody would bother you. If you ran into a Catholic church in Russia or a Christian church in Russia and asked for asylum, you were safe. And then to sit and watch a Black Baptist church blown up. Whoever put that dynamite there meant to kill everybody in the church. They didn't put them there so it would go up at nighttime when nobody was there. So, and that's what Mr. Gregory, and tell us, on my soul, you are telling your story. Yes. Your most profound words, I think, it still sums up the way I view your life is in chapter 24, the chapter where Big Mike died. Yes. You said that God had put me here to do His will, and He protected me even from death. Yes. And in that same chapter, Mr. Gregory, it even proves the Mrs. Force, I believe, in the life of Marvin Gaye. You yes. Touched on Marvin Gaye here. If you can recall the song there's a song called Praise that
Brother Marvin Gaye wrote, and it's the song in praise called, it says, talks about Stevie Wonder.
Yes.
It says, praise him. Well, what I'm trying to get to here is, there was a Radical Peace press conference, which you cover in chapter 23.
Yes.
In your book, you talked about the King family, getting the Martin Luther King's birthday as a holiday.
Yes.
And Stevie Wonder was instrumental in that. You talked about it in chapter 23. I was there at that press conference, Mr. Gregory, and
yes.
I heard something that you said. You said that the same star that was over Bethlehem at the time of the birth of Jesus, I don't know whether you remember saying this about, but you said that same star was over D.C. that night.
That night, yes.
Oh, okay, so esoteric things interest me. You are what I call, like, for instance, Arthur Davis and Rudy D said on the back of the book, he said, Dick Gregory is a product of struggle. He is an activist. We just look like. He said, we just look like.
That was so kind.
And that's very deep because the 1963 March on Washington, an aerial view of that march shows a picture of a big muscular being, ape or man. And where Martin was stationed there, to me it makes a statement that the government says, the hidden power that he says, we place these leaders on this big powerful body. This big powerful body
yes.
doesn't have a head. But you did, Gregory, through all the orchestration, you one man who has stood out in my mind above all. You fasted for long periods of time. I mean, you have did just great things. There's a chapter in your book, Mr. Gregory, that talks about you going getting his tape from Vietnam.
Yes.
And would you think about that for me, please?
Yeah. One of the things, my wife and I have gone to London, and it's amazing. You know, like we hear people talk about hunger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you say, well, you wipe out hunger with food.
Mm-hmm.
Then you realize that you get out here till you understand the politics of hunger.
Mm-hmm.
You will never wipe out hunger.
Mm-hmm.
And so till you understand the politics of keeping people ignorant,
mm-hmm.
you will never wipe out ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just amazed that at the height of the war in Vietnam,
mm-hmm.
there were Vietnamese living in London,
mm-hmm.
living in Paris,
mm-hmm.
sanctioned by the government,
mm-hmm.
because they just put them there. They made like they were under the occupation of black people, but they had 1 degree short of diplomatic status. And one of the things that I was able to do through connections, people just knowing that your stuff was clean and you had no hidden agenda, anytime an American was captured
mm-hmm.
or American plane was shot down, although the American government would deny it,
mm-hmm.
I would get a call from the peace office in Paris, and they would give me a list of names of the people. They had one black guy by the name of Terry Gray. And evidently he must have been high when he was shot down. So they would just tell me how he was acting, but they wanted to know what he had given me. And I said no. And they said, well, what do you think? I said, well, I think you should treat it the same way you would treat any other American prisoner of war. I mean, what I was saying is, you know, I knew they weren't killing. I knew because of the relationship we had there. I knew the people who was injured, who they would bring back to the line and let go because they couldn't treat them certain ways. I knew high-up officials, a Navy admiral's grandson was captured, and nobody talked about that. And so consequently, they showed us a tape one day, and I'm telling you, I was outraged.
That was what how did it come out? The May Lao?
The May Lao Night.
Okay, all right.
They showed us this tape. And now we're in London, and they show Americans killing civilians, but they're taking pictures. They're like a guest they hat and light they cigar. They got their foot on their head, and then they put the rifle down, and you see the head bump. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm so outraged because why would they trick me? Because I'd never brought them nothing but pure integrity. I tell them I don't gather information. I don't bring information. I don't take information.
But you know you're a very dangerous man.
I'm here as a humanitarian. And what I had said, I had sent a message to Hanoi that I would be willing to bring my wife and family and live in Hanoi and let those American bombers drop bombs on us because I'm paying for this. And I was just outraged over black men that would be over there, you know, killing folks and right here at home, their own parents, their own friends wasn't free. And so consequently the table I got back was just, oh my God, thank you, the first half. The second half, God, what kind of animals do you think we are? And I had to apologize. Now, but that set up a trust. Okay. They showed me these pictures of the American soldiers just killing. It's the same way you do if you went to the zoo and got on the elephant and had someone take a picture so you could send back home. Right. If you was in India and you would have your hand on a tiger or you was killing a tiger. Okay. Well, I'm saying to my wife, because the room is dark while they're doing these pictures. I'm saying, well, I can't believe they're doing this. When the lights came back on, they cleared it up without even knowing our purpose. You know, the horrible thing was we shouldn't have these pictures. These are home pictures of the American soldiers, but at the end of the month when they get broke and want whiskey and woman, they'll sell anything. And that's how we were able to get them.
Praise God. Okay, you are listening to Break the Silence. I'm your host, Ital Iman. We have a very special guest here this morning, Black History Month, Dick Gregory. Stay tuned for more Break the Silence. Welcome back. Break the Silence. I am Ital Iman, editor. I sit in on the 9 to 10 spot on the Andy Johnson program. We're speaking with Dick Gregory. We're talking about things in his book, Callous on My Soul. Mr. Gregory, we have a few callers on the line, and we will get to them brief in a few here. But I want to
let me finish that story I was talking about real quickly. Yes, what happened is that after I realized this was real and this was happening, and that if the American people found out about this, they would be outraged. And so I just said, well, let me just figure out how we can use this. And they apologized for having to show that to my wife while she was pregnant. We got home, and then I figured out one day how we would do it, but we had to flip those tapes back in the country. And we went out, we called it an assignment, and I said to Lil, if there's a possibility of you making it back alive, so I'm not going to come back, I'm going to be the decoy. That is almost point zero, because once those tapes get back to war, it's over. And we had this elaborate scheme of how we would do it, and I put her on a plane, and the FBI, the CIA, British intelligence, French intelligence, although there was some people from French intelligence that knew a friend of mine that was a little friendly. And she got the tapes back in, and we gave them to a newspaper column in Chicago, and before anybody could break it, the New York Times broke the story, and I always believed that was America breaking the story. But that was the story of the My Lai massacre, and for all practical purposes, that was the story that ended the war.
That was chapter 18 in the book, Callous on My Soul. Dick, let's run over to chapter 13 in the snake's mouth. We're going to go down about the third paragraph there.
Yes.
It says, I told Malcolm I couldn't come because Lil had booked me in Chicago. I had asked her to book me there. I had told Lil weeks before that tragic day that I was sure they would kill Malcolm if he spoke at the Audubon Ball. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, what happened? Malcolm and I had become very good friends. And Malcolm had called me one day, and very arrogant, very hostile. Yes, very, Brother Malcolm. Yes, there's when can you come out to the mosque? The brothers and sisters like to meet you. So I said, send a car out, pick me up right now. And caught him off guard. And he said, well, just a minute, let me get back to it. So he called me back and posed the meaning. Brother Greg, Brother Malcolm, said, you can't come out here. Says, don't you know you're the hottest actor in America? 99% of your audience is white folks. Now, you called me, you asked me, when should I come to the mosque? If I knew New York, I would get in a cab and come out there. I don't know New York. So here's what I'm saying. I demand that you send a car, pick me up, bring me to the mosque, and have a photographer that'll take a picture of me and you, and I demand that that picture be run on the front page of Muhammad's Speaks newspaper. And that just caught him off guard. And so we did all of this here, and that's where our friendship, he, Adam Clayton Powell, and a whole group of militant blacks that was committed to nonviolence, but didn't kind of like the way that they saw the King movement going. I could read both.
I'm saying.
So in talking with Malcolm and becoming good friends, Malcolm could never come to a nightclub because of the alcohol, but whenever I come to the power, Malcolm would be on the front row, laughing harder than anyone. Well, when Malcolm was out, here's what we found out.
Okay.
We found out that letters that Malcolm was getting that he thought was from Elijah Muhammad, and letters that Elijah was getting that he thought was from Malcolm. Because of the Freedom of Information Act, we know these were being forwarded by Hoover and the FBI.
Okay.
But back then, nobody knows. For instance, we have a document now, which I put in my book, under the Freedom of Information Act, that Gene Dixon, the world-renowned writer, well, he would write a column like 18 months before Kennedy was killed, and says, I see dark clouds over JFK's head in Dallas. Please, Mr. President, don't go to Dallas. That's 18 months before. And then when Kennedy is gunned down in Dallas, they rerun this column. So nobody would ever assume that he didn't have a direct line to God. He did the same thing with Martin Luther King. Now, what we're able to find out in the Freedom of Information Act, the government has been forced to release that he was an FBI fund. That everything they were getting ready to do, they would release it to her. He would do it, which means that when they knew that Kennedy was going to be killed, the FBI had given this information 18 months before. They also had to admit that her job was to say, as a psychic, I see communism infiltrating the civil rights movement. Well, back then, we didn't know. To switch back to Malcolm, I said, all of these things that went on, we didn't know. But now, when Malcolm went on his world tour, when someone tried to poison him in Egypt on NASA's boat, I said to him, Malcolm, do you think black Muslims, have the power to get on the head of the Egyptian government, get finally go poison you?
We have to get the president to bring the whole thing. We have a lot to discuss. Break the silence. We'll be right back with you.
Microphone. Microphone. 1, 2, 3. Testing, easy. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, I am microphone. All year round. Microphone. All year round.
Welcome back to Jacksonville to Break the Silence. My very special guest, I want to thank him for being here. Time is going so fast. We have about 20 minutes left. Callous on My Soul is a memoir of Big Gregory. Mr. Gregory. Mr. Gregory, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes, sir.
Okay, for the sake of time, could I move the conversation to a different direction, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good.
Let me do this real quick.
Okay.
Because, yes, what happened was that when I knew that when Malcolm's house was firebombed, the news report said a speeding car. Malcolm's house is about 350 feet from the road. So a speeding car couldn't have drove by there and threw a Molotov cocktail. So just the fact that the police would say that, you knew that they were involved. So those little things let me know that it wasn't that far. What I said to Malcolm that morning when he called me at 6 o'clock in the morning of the Sunday that he died and asked me whether I come into the Oliver Ballroom, I was working a nightclub there, and I was closing that Sunday night, and I said to Malcolm, I love you, but I'm so sure they're going to get you today, and I'm not going to let them get two for the price of one. I had my wife book me into a college to do an afternoon speech in Chicago. And I'm going to stay there until I found out that they put a hit on you, and then I'm coming back and do my show tonight. And he says, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. If I don't feel that way, I'm going to call Adam Clayton Powell and tell him when he finishes preaching today, do not come by there. What we found out since then, under the Freedom of Information, which I put in the book, the CIA had rented the Ottoman Ballroom a week before Malcolm was there, so it's obvious. And the other thing is, when we get the autopsy pictures on Malcolm, remember the black guys, Malcolm was on the stage, so they ran up and shot up. All the bullets hit Malcolm is going down, which means that those black guys that the government put together, they gave them blanks. And so we know it was the CIA. Yes. Okay, now we can see it, sir.
Okay, well, since we don't want that, we're going to see one more thing here. You bring out also in your book the most likely reason of the John Lennon death. You were helping John to get off drugs.
What happened was someone called me in the early 60s and said John and Yoko was drugged out in a cave in Amsterdam. I went over there because I have this drug formula. This balances out see, all drugs is an alkaline, you balance out an alkaline with an acid. And so I went over. Now, I did not know till after he was dead, and a guy wrote a book and said that after I cleaned them out, they never went back on drugs again. He was never permitted to come into this country for any long period of time or get a visa because of his drug arrest. And so I had him to a psychic spirit woman, a black woman in Chicago. And she said to him, I can take care of this for you, but you never leave here. Now, we never knew she was talking about he'd be killed. We just thought she would love it so much. John Lennon, the night before he died, the next day he was planning on announcing that he was giving 10% of his wealth to the peace movement. And 10% of his wealth, we talking about almost $300 million.
A lot of money.
Yeah, and so I'm sure that's why it was interesting, because when you heard the news account, they said that John Lennon, a guy said he was like 2 seconds from the corner. He heard 2 shots. He got to the corner. There were 7 scores. How they get there? And then when John Lennon got to the hospital, there was more than 2 bullets in it. So those are the things that it's just like this guy. You read the guy here in Washington D.C.
No.
It's from the White House last week. Shot in the kneecap. I ask yourself a question. What law enforcement officer is trained that while somebody is shooting, you shoot them in their kneecap? Well, who would you shoot in the kneecap? California. And then when we check it out, we find out that not only was he the guy who they got in jail now, was an Internal Revenue agent, he had put a lawsuit in federal court because he said this agent had destroyed his life. Once we check it, we find out that this guy was close to the CIA, and they was going down, shaking down heavy drug dealers for big money. And evidently that's what he was talking about. And they threw his lawsuit out, but now what they're going to do is make him come off crazy. So when this information starts coming out, he's just a crazy man.
That's what we always do it. You can find all this information in Calice on My Soul, written by Big Gregory. Big Gregory, if I would, I'd like to touch on a Black history issue here locally, if you would.
Yes, please.
There's about 80 acres of land in here, North Florida, north of Jacksonville, called American Beach. Have you heard of American Beach?
Safely, yes, sir.
Okay, American Beach was founded in 1930 by a black man, A.L. Lewis, who became a millionaire.
Yes.
American Beach is sandwiched between Fernandina and this place called Amelia Island Plantation, where they have the rich salters.
Yes.
So as you know, all along the coast of Sea Island, these big developers are trying to buy out these last standing black places. So we've been struggling here to save American Beach. I talked to Ms. Emma Morgan last night and her son Frank Morgan, and they would like to set up something with you where you come down and they explain to you the situation, and they are hoping that you could help them to get some forces together to develop American Beach and stop the powers that be from taking American Beach from us.
That'll be a pleasure. Just tell them to, call my house. You have my home number. I'll give it to you the next break.
All right.
And then we can set that up. That's no problem.
Okay, so we're like 30 seconds from the break. We're going to let this fellow Don that's been holding on a long time, let him say something to you after the break. Okay, Don, hold tight. We'll try to squeeze you in here. Fred is on the line also. We'll be back with Dick Gregory. Calice on My Soul. You listen to Break the Silence. I am Ital Iman.
As I run, me and the microphone, going round and round, getting, 3. Testing, I am microphone. I am one. Microphone. I am John. I am one.
You can get this book at any bookstore. Telephone My Soul is a must-read. The memoirs of the great man, Gregory. We are talking with him right now. Don, go ahead, Don. Don, are you hold on?
I'm here.
Go ahead.
Is Don?
Don. Who did we lose? We lost somebody. We lost everybody. See here. Huh? Okay, Fred.
Hello?
Yes, Fred, go ahead.
See, I'm going by what the title of your show is, and I'm going to ask you. I think I've asked this before. It seems like there's silence around it. Nobody will come up with a black or white.
Oh, yeah, I know about Martin Luther King.
I want to know if anybody can tell me why the files are sealed and what reason, if they're going to be open 50 years from now, why would they be closed?
Well, if Dick was still on the air, we should ask him, and I'm sure he would tell you, but we have lost
you don't close files often. I know Fred thought he also had those files closed, and I've always wondered if, we find out about doors washing and all the things that they're misdeeds, and I just wonder if they're misdeeds here also, that we won't know until 50 years or whatever.
Fred, you did act at the right time, but this might be Dick, might be calling back.
Well, I mean, you don't know either.
Well, hold on. Wait, hold on. Just hold this second. We got Dick.
Oh, he said something about
Fred, just hold on a minute. Dick Gregory will answer your question. Okay, Dick. Okay, Fred, hang up, and I'll like Mr. Gregory the question for you. Mr. Gregory.
Yes, sir.
We're sorry about that.
No problem.
We know how to pull you up. There's a guy named Fred who's been asking these questions for ages. Martin Luther King's file was closed up and can't open for 50 years.
Right.
He wants to know why.
Because it would show things in there. For instance, there was a trial held, a wrongful death trial held in Memphis last year. What's in those files is, and I put it in my book because we had it under oath in the trial. Earl Clark was the Memphis cop who killed King. Lastly, what happened was there was a shot fired. The shot did not come from upstairs. It came from downstairs. A guy by the name of Lloyd Young, who was working with Frank Laverto, the mob chief there in Memphis, who was hooked to the mob boy in New Orleans, gave him $100,000. What happened was when Earl Clark shot, he handed the gun to him, which was behind the Lorraine was a flop house in a restaurant, a greasy food. Okay. And he jumped over a little concrete embankment. A black cab driver, which was known as Cab 58, his name was Paul Butler. Okay. He saw this white man jump over. Now, he heard the shot. He didn't know what it was. Okay. He followed this white man to the corner. He got to the corner, turned left, and he saw him get in a Memphis police cruiser. He said to the press and to the police what he had witnessed. 4 hours later, he was dead. Also, there's an FBI agent, Agent Wilson. 3 days later, he finds James Earl Ray's car. He sees some phone numbers on the dashboard. Upon his own, he calls one of the numbers. It's a Dallas number, and it belongs to a nightclub that Jack Ruby used to own. Jack Ruby is the guy who killed Lee Harvey Oswald, who was accused of shooting President Kennedy. Now, the reason we put this in the book, he was so frightened. When we interviewed him, he said he never turned that into the FBI. Now, here's the FBI agent. He said, why? Because he knew he would be killed. And so, consequently, there's all this type of information. What has happened since the trial last year is the United States government, under the Freedom of Information Act, have admitted that military intelligence was in Memphis. They went in there on March 28th and stayed to April 12th. They realized, and we know that they were going to take him out because they was across the street at the fire station. These are all of the things That's it. Now, quickly,
Yes.
when they brought his wife in, because Earl Clark is dead, copy here, they asked him, and she said, my husband was off, he was sick all day. How'd you find out King was killed? He heard on the radio. What happened? He decided he would go in because he figured it'd be violent. Well, what happened is, well, he couldn't go in because his clothes was in the...
More time.